They say the city never sleeps yet in the Bronx. One May night in 2010, time didn't just stay awake. It stalled. A 16-year-old walking home from a party was stopped under a streetlight, pockets turned out, palms open. No backpack on him, no cash, no weapon. Just a kid repeating the same line the system was about to test to the breaking point. I didn't do anything. Hours later, a judge named a price on his freedom, $3,000, and a door clanged shut on Rikers Island. The unusual part isn't that a teenager was arrested. The unusual part is everything that followed. 3 birthdays behind bars, no trial, and a boy who refused to say he was guilty just to go home. The accusation sounded simple enough. A stolen backpack with a camera, cash, a credit card, and an iPod. The complainant pointed from the back of a patrol car. Those two. Then the story shifted. The theft was tonight, no, 2 weeks ago. Details slid around, dates changed shape. In a normal case, inconsistencies crack the narrative open and the truth spills out. In this one, the cracks were filled with delay slips, adjournments, and a calendar's worth of vanished hours. Kalief's friend went home. Kalief did not. He was on probation for a minor case, and his family couldn't meet the bail. The Bronx courthouse, overloaded under Swift, let the days stack up like cinder blocks. Rikers has a sound that lodges in the skull, a metal thrum, a shouted name, the hard hush of solitary. There, a boy learned to count time by slot meals and the scrape of a door. Fights found him, so did guards. In a place built to hold the accused for a little while, Kalief spent more than 1,000 days. Nearly 2 years of those days were alone. The Bing, they call it, 12 by 7 feet and a slit of window you could mistake for mercy if you stared long enough. He missed holidays, classes, the ordinary errors of being 17. He tried to end his life more than once. The tapes don't lie. A guard shoving him to the floor while he's cuffed. A swarm of fists in a juvenile dorm. The proof of the violence was recorded even as the trial never was. Here's the cruel suspense. The longer he stayed, the more the system urged a shortcut. Take the plea. Go home today. It's an offer that preys on breath and heartbeat. Admit to a crime you say you didn't commit, and the nightmare ends. Refuse, and the calendar keeps bleeding pages. Most people cave. Kalief did not. He said no to the deal because no was the only word that still felt like his. That refusal, unyielding, impossible, incandescent, was the fulcrum on which his young life balanced. Meanwhile, the state's case hollowed out. The witness's account shifted. At points, he left the country. Subpoenas boomeranged. Court dates stacked and fell, stacked and fell. 1,000 days is enough time to make a person into a statistic. It's also enough time to prove the prosecution never had a case strong enough to try. On June 5, 2013, without a jury ever hearing evidence, the charges were dismissed. He walked out of the gate thinner, older, carrying a paper bag and a weight no bag could hold. The law released him, the trauma did not. There is a particular irony to freedom when it arrives late. Kalief went back to school, earned his GED, and tried to find the quiet the island had stolen. Sleep broke first. Trust followed. Paranoia moved in like a squatter. Close the blinds, check the door, check again. He told a reporter, simply, "I'm not all right." 2 years after the dismissal, June 6, 2015, at 22 years old, he died by suicide. New York mourned. Some were meeting him for the first time in headlines. Others had been watching his case. The boy who kept saying no because he wanted the truth to mean something. So where's the twist in a story like this? It's not a reveal that clears the room with applause. It's something more unsettling. The realization that the most shocking inconsistency isn't in the witness statements. It's in the system itself. We promise a speedy trial and then let a child age 3 years waiting for one. We insist innocence until proven guilty while punishing poverty with pretrial cages. We call it protective custody and lock a teenager alone for months at a time. The contradiction is the twist. And when the public finally saw it, saw the video, heard the numbers, counted the days, pressure did what prosecutors would not. It forced change. In late 2014, New York City ended solitary confinement for 16, and 17-year-olds at Rikers. The policy didn't erase what had happened, but it acknowledged a harm done to children in the city's name. The federal government sued the city over a pattern of excessive force against teens. Lawmakers introduced Kalief's Law to fix the state's broken speedy trial rules. The reforms weren't neat, they weren't fast, but they were a turn of the wheel, a correction toward the promise we like to make to ourselves about fairness. And then, years later, the kind of justice that arrives by wire transfer. In January 2019, New York City agreed to pay Kalief Browder's family $3.3 million. No, some can balance a scale like this. Money is a poor language for stolen time, but settlements are admissions written in accounting. This should not have happened. Not to him, not to anyone. If this were just one boy's tragedy, the credits would roll here. But the most honest true crime stories refuse to end on a single name. Kalief's death did not bring him peace. It brought the city a mirror. In it, we saw a bail system that jails poverty, a court docket that confuses delay with due process, a jail that confuses control with care. We also saw something else. A teenager who would not bargain with the truth. That's the power shift. Away from a system that feeds on quiet pleas and toward a public insistence that a day in court must mean exactly that. A day, not 1,000 of them. Into the Deep is about endings that teach. So listen closely to the last beat of this story. Justice here is not symmetrical. It doesn't rewind a clock or return a boy to his mother's kitchen table. Justice is directional. It moves. It closed one door, solitary for kids, and pried open another. The door to speedier trials, to bail reform debates, to a city council vote decades later that further curbed isolation in city jails. Each step is small. Each step is not enough. Each step is necessary. And each one carries a name. Say it out loud with the care you want the next case to receive. Kalief. When the camera's cut and the narrator's voice fades, you're left with a streetlight and a choice that belongs to all of us. Do we accept a system where innocence can cost 3 years? Or do we make speedy mean what it says? The ending we have is imperfect, but it leans toward justice, not because the scales are balanced, but because more of us have climbed onto the heavier side. A boy's no taught a city to say never again, and that, in a case where time itself became a weapon, is how justice begins to be served. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for future deep dives into the most shocking true crime cases. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for more true crime cases that demand to be heard.